Good morning, everyone. This is Tim and Julie Harris, and this is the Harris Real Estate University Superstar Interview. Now, we're doing something special, something different for today's Superstar Interview, because a lot of you have requested that we help you create your business plan. A lot of you have been downloading the treasure map, the real estate treasure map from realestatetreasuremap.com. Now, on this webinar screen, you're going to see there's a button there. If you click that button, you can hop on over to that site after this call, and you can check out the treasure map, and if you decide to buy it, you can, and if you don't, well, that's fine too. But the bottom line here is you need a business plan. Now, I want to clear the air about a couple points about the business plans while everyone else has more time to log on to this free live training event. Business plans can start at any time of the year. A lot of people think that the best time, well, maybe arguably the best time to start a business plan is at the beginning of the year. But really, you could start a business plan any time of the year. A lot of the most successful businesses in the world actually don't run their fiscal years from, say, January to January or January to December. They'll run it from, say, for example, June to June. You know, it's an interesting trick that we've trained a lot of our top-producing realtors to do. So in real estate, as a lot of you know, in most markets, there's almost like a bell curve, right? It starts out low in the winter, and then you have a peak in the spring and the summer, and then it kind of scales back towards the end of the year. Well, that's frustrating to a lot of realtors because then you kind of start out on a low point and you end on a low point. So what some of our top producers do is they actually start their fiscal years, you know, they're incorporated, they're businesses, and all of you are businesses that happen to sell real estate. That's how we think of you. They start their years actually, their fiscal year, right? Not their actual year, but they start their business year at a high point in the year. So they might start in June and then end in June. And then that puts obviously the lull that they would normally have during their accounting year in the middle. Some of this is a little advanced and a little confusing, but really the bottom line of a business plan is it creates your roadmap from where you are to where you want to go. There's lots of pieces and parts that go into creating a successful business plan, and lots of things that Julie and I want to share with you today. But the most important aspect of creating a business plan is really what we call knowing your numbers and almost knowing your magic number or a secret number. I know that sounds kind of sinister, but the fact is there is a simple number that all of you have to know in order to be successful next year and the year after and the year after. Now, let's be clear about something, guys, and let's be very, very clear. When I ask you this question, I ask this question of all of our students often. It's always interesting to me to see how many actually understand the nature of the question and then answer it correctly. And to be honest with you, there really is only one answer to this question. There's not multiple answers. But I'm going to go ahead and throw this question out just to get started today. And I know a lot of you who have been with us for a long time, you'll have heard me ask this before, but it's okay. So the question is, what is the product that you're supposed to be producing from your real estate practice? Okay, what is the product that you're supposed to be producing? What is it that you are supposed to produce? What does your business create? I want you to go ahead and enter your answer into the webinar. Go ahead and do it now. The webinar is the box that's obviously on the the left side of your screen as you look at your computer. Of course, if you're listening off the phone, you can't do that. But I want you to go ahead and let me know, what is it that your business creates? What is it produces? What does it produce, rather? Go ahead, share with me your thoughts. Go ahead and enter them into the webinar. Now, as you're going through that and you're thinking about it, a lot of you are going to put in words that are valid, they're true, they're definitely part of running a successful real estate practice, but really there is only one correct answer to this question. And it's going to be interesting to see what other kinds of answers you guys come up with. Let me click on the question and answer and see what you're coming up with, see what you're telling me. All right, so we're getting some comments coming in right now. I really appreciate your guys' feedback. So some of you are saying great customer service. Okay, well, that's certainly a valid answer. Some of you are seeing, 3 or 4 of you have put in home sales. Well, that's valid. A couple of you, I guess, are also loan officers. You put in loans. Someone put in happy agent, so I see why. It's because you're running a Prudential office. That makes sense. Well, I'm going to challenge all of you. You guys can keep on putting your answers in, and I appreciate the hundreds of you that are participating in this. But I want you to think really, really thoroughly about that question again. My business produces blank. What is it that it produces? Go ahead and keep on putting your answers in, and I want you to really think about that. At the end of the year, at the end of your career, what is it that you really, what can you look back upon? What is it that your business, how do you actually track as to whether or not your business was successful at essentially being a business? So someone put in cash flow. There's a good answer. Javier put in, my business's products is to show the buyers and sellers the benefits of doing it now. Okay. Martha put in, actually she's putting in a question about something else. All right, so guys, here's the thing. Your product, and be clear about this, and a lot of you are going to have emotional strings to this, or as we call mooring lines, but your product is one thing and one thing only. Ready for it? Write it down, and then I want you to not be conflicted about this, and I'm going to challenge all of you, and I realize that many of you will be conflicted about this. And this is, believe it or not, a new concept to real estate. Okay? Your product, what you are supposed to produce is profit. That is what your product is. You are supposed to produce profit. Profit. Write that down. If your business is not producing profit, you do not have a successful business. There is no exception to that. Now, why do I say this? Why is it the same, in this economic time, and I'm talking about profit and all these other things? Because in this economic time, it's more important to focus on profit than it is anything else. See, guys, it's too easy to get into this business and be distracted by other things, to believe that other things are more important. And I'll give you a classic example, though. Fortunately, and I mean that sincerely, fortunately, I'm seeing fewer and fewer agents making this mistake and going down this road. A lot of realtors think their job is to create a big business with a big team. And they want to talk about their big teams and their 14 buyer agents and their 3 moving trucks. And I'm going to give you a confession here. When Julie and I sold real estate, we had a big team and we had a big moving truck. Okay, now that was over 14 years ago. But the fact is, guys, is that when you are running a business, it's easy to get suckered into a lot of the distractions that take you away from what your true mission is, which is to produce a profit. So you might be thinking, well, the awards, we're coming up, to award seasons in some of your MLS areas. And some of you have been focusing all your energy on earning awards, earning recognition. Some of you, you get into this business just because, frankly, you're looking for acknowledgement. You want to be successful at something so that other people will see you as successful. You're very confused if you're being honest about what your true mission is in this business, and that's to create a profit. Now, I want to clear the air about something. Your motivation for being in real estate does not have to be what other people says. If you are in this business strictly and let's just be honest, because you want to be seen as successful, because you want to have a team where everyone calls you the rainmaker or the boss, and you want to walk around with all the plaques and the awards and the medallions and whatever else you get, okay? And if you're doing that consciously and knowingly and rather fully aware of the fact that you're probably making a lot of decisions that are resulting in you not making very much net profit, but that you're doing that consciously. You're not just doing it subconsciously. In other words, I don't want to have a free coaching call with you when you're 65 and you're telling me about all your accomplishments in your career, and then you're telling me also that basically you're 2 months away from being broke, or you're already broke. You see the difference here, guys? It's okay if you're trying to pursue more ego recognition type stuff, as long as you're doing it consciously. It's your decision. I'm not going to judge you. But what we do here at Harris Real Estate University, frankly, is we focus on the agents who actually want to make a profit. We focus on the agents who want to create wealth, who want to pay off debt. You guys know we're huge advocates of Dave Ramsey. So we are focusing on realtors who are treating their businesses like businesses, who want to, frankly, create legacies, not just for themselves, but for their children's children. And you can do that now. There's never been a time, not that I'm aware of, and some of you are vastly more smart than Julie, more intelligent than Julie and I, so you may have a bigger scope of, history and opportunity and business, and if, so put this in perspective. But from our limited perspective, having been in the real estate industry, Julie and I are in our 40s, and we've been in the real estate industry since we were in our early 20s, I have never seen or heard of, and we've studied this going all the way back to basically to the 1900s. We've never seen or heard of a greater opportunity in the real estate industry than there is now. Ever. There has never been, just to put this in perspective, there never has been a real estate crash in the world. Okay, this is going back to Roman times now. Kind of crazy, but we've actually researched this. As significant as the one we're experiencing now. There never has been such a wide loss in value of real estate that there is now. And the fact is, guys, is they didn't call the Great Depression until it was over. We are going to look back upon this, you and I, when we're sitting at a beach, hopefully in 20 years together, looking back during, about this era, in American history and global history, and we're going to be saying, you know what, that was a depression, because it is. So if all of you wondered what it's like to live through a depression, you're living through it. And here is the real punchline to all of this. During the greatest times of change, the greatest times of turmoil, the greatest times of flux, is when most people make their fortunes. The greatest fortunes in the history of the world have always been created during the greatest times of change. You want to write that down. You want to really pay attention to that quote, that thought, and wrap your brain around it. The greatest fortunes in the history of the world have been created during the greatest times of change, without exception. We're in one of those times right now. We are in one of those times right now, and if you just clue into the fact that this industry is the industry to be making the money in, you will, frankly, position yourself and your family, and you're going to create a legacy that people are just going to be in awe of 100 years from now. So a lot of you have used the excuse for not being more successful. You've actually said to me, to others, to yourselves, well, it's all about being in the right place at the right time. Well, it's all about, essentially people having opportunities that I don't have. A lot of you have said that to yourselves, and you've used that as an excuse your entire lives for not accomplishing the things in your life that you're capable of. Well, guess what, guys? And this is your wake-up call. You can either listen to my words now, or you can continue on the path that you've been on. And frankly, you'll listen to it or regret not listening to it 20 years from now. You are in the right place at the right time, and you do have the right tools to take advantage of this opportunity. I'm going to say that again. You are in the right place at the right time, and you do have, or you're learning, the tools necessary to take advantage of this opportunity. Now it's up to you to take action. Next year, the year after, and maybe even 5 or 6 years from now, the real estate market is going to be dominated by the so-called distressed properties, which I think is the biggest misnomer ever, but that's a totally different conversation. Short sales REOs, are those really the distressed sellers out there? I don't think so. It's the sellers that are trying to compete with the short sales and the REOs, the owners with equity that are trying to get out without having to become short sales themselves. Those guys are the ones that are distressed. The markets are going to be dominated by distressed property. In the country right now, realistically, when you figure in normal selling fees, 50% of all homeowners with a mortgage are underwater. 50%. And it's just getting worse. Those of you who have been anticipating, hoping for, praying for the mythical release of the bank shadow inventory, it hasn't happened at the level that it did, say, for example, in 2008 and 2009 because of all the legal, skirmishes, the robo-signing, the scandals, the this, the that. All that stuff has worked its way or will work its way through in the next 90 to 120 days, which means inevitably the listings, the bank-owned properties, the 11 million-plus homes that are in right now one stage or another of default will be hitting the market. Now, let me really underline what an enormous point this is. How many homeowners are you coming across on a regular basis who should be doing a short sale but are basically riding the wave because they know that the banks aren't actually foreclosing? Well, here's an interesting statistic for you. Currently, 632 days. Write that number down. All this, by the way, reported on the blog with all my sources from where I get this information. 632 days is the average amount of time that someone spends in their house before they actually have to get out because they haven't been making their payments. So it's 2 years of payment-free living. People know this. They're taking advantage of it. And you know what? I'll be honest with you. They have a right to. Okay? They can take advantage of the system. The banks are. The politicians are. So why not? Why can't homeowners do their own little mini bailout? They can, and they should. And good for them for doing it. But guess what? It's coming to an end. Because what's going to start happening now, and they've been saying to you, I know, I want to try a loan mod, or I'm just not motivated, or because all their other friends or their social group, they're not making house payments. They're gaming the system just as well. What they're going to start seeing now is the foreclosure notices are going to start flying. The foreclosure sales are going to start commencing. People are going to start moving. This big, as we call, constipated python is finally going to free itself of all the excessive amount of inventory that it's been carrying around for almost 4 years. It's all going to happen over the next 12 to 24 months, and I personally think we're not going to see any significant turnaround for 5 to 6 years. Huge opportunity for you Because let's say, for example, all those people that start noticing their neighbors get foreclosed upon. Those are short sales for you because all the little, reasons they've been using not to list their properties, well, guess what? They're now going to realize, well, okay, I guess I got to get my house sold if I want to avoid a foreclosure. I got to list it as a short sale now. That is a huge opportunity for all of you. You better sure as heck be learning how to do short sales. And let's just be honest, guys, and I'm really tired of, frankly, not really speaking my mind on this. I'm probably still not. You're not going to learn what you need to learn about short sales in a 2-day seminar. That is ridiculous. I don't know what I need to know about short sales, and I've been teaching it longer than anybody in the industry, Julie and I have, and our coaches. We know more about short sales than anybody because we have personally been involved, and our coaches have personally been involved, and our students have personally been involved in tens of thousands of short sales. And trust me when I tell you, we do not know it all. Why? Because it changes literally every day. Just this week on the blog, I put up 3 different changes that happened all this week about just the way that Bank of America processes short sales through Equator. So you think some 2-day class you took 2 years ago has really prepared you for the opportunity to list and sell short sales now? No way. So that's one end of the spectrum, right? Helping people avoid foreclosure through a short sale. And the other end of it, obviously, is going to be BPOs and REOs. And I've already explained the opportunity that's coming to you now with the amount of distressed property that's coming for sale. Be excited for the opportunity that's in front of you. Be more excited than you ever have been before. Start dreaming big again. All the dreams, all the expectations for your career, maybe for your personal life that you've put on the shelf because we're in a depression, it's a horrible economy. You know what? You need to dust those things off. You need to polish them up, and you need to get ready to start thinking big again. That's what this economy and that's what this market is about. Hey, you want to talk about how to create legacy wealth? Build an empire from these rental properties. You can buy rental properties in most any market right now and get at least 10% return on investment. You tell me how else you're going to do that in the foreseeable future. Guys, your opportunity is now. You are in the right place at the right time. If you don't seize this opportunity, you have only yourself to blame. And why you wouldn't is beyond me. So on the remainder of today's call, we're going to be focusing on what is the most important aspect and the most important part of taking advantage of opportunities, and that's creating a business plan. You have to create a business plan. The business plan that we're sharing with you is almost identical to the business plan that Julie and I have been using in our own business for 20-plus years. You have got to have a business plan. Your business plan tells you where you are, where you're going, and where you're going to be, where you're going to be, not hope to be, not want to be, but where you're going to be. And you have to do a little be honest with yourself about where you actually are, and that, frankly, is the hardest part for many of you. So what we've done and what we're going to do today is we are creating for you essentially your starting point. We are in the process with you today on this call, and Julie's going to go through all the data points here for you. And I want you to pay attention to everything that Julie says, write down the answers, and then what you need to do is you need to get your real estate treasure map and complete the project. Take your business plan when it's done and photocopy it. Staple it on the wall so you can see it. Your map, remember, it's real estate treasure map, your business plan is a map, is not just to be stuffed in your glove box. You have to have the map, your business plan out at all times so you can see it to remind you. Even if you're not looking at it, you're reminding yourself that you do have a map to follow. Guys, it is way too easy in this industry to get distracted. So many of you are what we call silver bullet hunters. You'll look for this new whiz-bang tool or that new whiz-bang tool or this website or that website. Stop wasting your time. Stop wasting your money. Get focused on the easy and obvious opportunity that's in front of you and make this your market. I'm going to say it again. You are in the right place at the right time. Stop being, I'm about to say the word, Julie. Are you ready?
I am ready.
Stop being, say it with me, 1, 2, 3, lazy. Okay, that's what it is.
Cut that out.
I don't want to hear how you had a difficult childhood or how your broker doesn't support you or how this or that.
You're waiting for the market to turn around.
I
love that.
Yeah, exactly. You're just being lazy. And listen, you can hang up, log off if you don't like us calling you lazy, and deal with the fact that you're being lazy later. But you are being lazy if you're not seizing this opportunity.
That would be the lazy approach.
We are tired of pandering to you and being politically correct and using every other word in the dictionary, most of which are made up, so that we don't actually have to call you out for what you're being, which is 1, 2, 3, lazy. Okay? That's it. So, Julie, I didn't mean to have such a long ramp up, but I think you
quite all right.
I know
they're feeling motivated now.
I hope. I know you're as passionate about this as I am. And guys, sincerely, we are so excited for all of you. And I do not want to receive any phone calls or emails from any more agents who basically are telling us that they should have listened to us 5 years ago, and saying that they wish they would have taken advantage of the opportunity. And, oh my gosh, am I too late? You're not too late. But I can't promise you that a year or two from now I can say the same thing. You are in the right place at the right time. Seize the opportunity. So Julie's going to present to you this information now. Your homework after this call, I'm going to make it very simple for you, is to go to realestatetreasuremap.com and buy the business plan. I think it's $37 or $47. Okay? So Julie, without any further delay.
Perfect. All right. So this is the taking action part of keeping yourself motivated and knowing what to do about it. So for some of you, this is the challenging part, but I promise you, when you have a plan and you're executing the plan, next year will be so much easier for you because all you're doing is executing. A lot of you wander around all the time saying, oh, I'm overwhelmed. I don't know where to start. I don't know what to do. I'm going to wait for this or wait for that or get ready to get started to someday possibly get a plan together and maybe even follow a schedule. We're doing that today, period. So get your pencil out. Get ready to write down some very specific things. This is the taking action part, and that's what makes the difference. Remember, the definition of success is doing the things that you don't necessarily want to do when you don't necessarily want to do them at a very high level, and real estate is full of things like that, but you guys are all smart, and you can do this, and this is where your dreams, your goals, your hopes, all of those things do cost money if you haven't noticed. And it's up to you to produce that. So in order for that to occur, you've got to actually know what your numbers are. And oftentimes, Tim, when you and I are doing free coaching calls with these guys and helping them get ready to get started and helping them put their plan together, one of our first questions is always, what does it take to run you? How much do you cost? What are your financial goals? And I got to be honest, Tim, and I think you've found this too. A lot of people, probably 90% of people in general, and maybe even 99% of agents, they don't know what their monthly costs are. They might have a fairly accurate guesstimate, but do they actually know what their magic number consists of? So we're going to take a look at that. And by the way, this is the first part of the real estate treasure map. So this is kind of a sampler, and the rest of the treasure map hinges on you knowing your numbers. So you've got to take this seriously. This is not something you can skip. Here's the secret. Most agents and people in general only earn what it takes to pay for their basic needs, those bills that are coming in every month. This is why agents sometimes get in trouble at tax time. They didn't budget for it. It's also why realtors often feel they're living check to check. And I know some of you know what that feels like. You're living off cash spurts instead of cash flow.
Uh-oh, hold on. Say that again.
They're living check to check off of cash spurts versus the elusive, for most, cash flow.
Julie comes to me 2 days ago, and one of her graduate students for the first time. So, guys, if some of you choose to become graduate students, that means you're personally going to be beat on every week by Julie or myself.
Accountability.
And it costs you $1,000 a month, okay? So we don't like to have a lot of graduate students. We used to have a ton, but we just don't like it.
A lot of work.
Because it takes a lot of our time. So it's not something we look for. So some of you are interested in becoming our graduate students. Just understand that there's maybe a 20% chance that we're going to want to coach you. But, just take it for what it's worth. So she comes to me the other day, and she says, Tim, one of my students makes, just crossed one of the significant thresholds that Julie and I know in the building of a top producer's real estate practice. She earned almost $100,000 in a single month. Now, some of you are saying, holy crap, that's a lot of money. And you know what it is? It's $100,000. It's a great amount of money. It's a huge thing to celebrate. It's successful. But unfortunately, her income the following month was zero. Okay, so that is an example of someone who is starting to be successful long term, who clearly has the desire, the will, the ability to be incredibly successful long term, to build incredible amounts of wealth, but she still has to work on consistency of what she does every single day. She's someone that, like many of you, went from basically prospecting, lead generating, to selling and getting in contract to servicing your transactions, and then guess what? Once they all close, you're broke again because you weren't doing the other thing consistently. That is one of the things that we work on with realtors when they're in the process of becoming top producers, is how to iron out the ebbs and the flows. But the bottom line is that most of you suffer from, and that is the word for it, suffer from cash spurts, not cash flow. What you want to have in order for you to build a long-term stable business is consistent income. And it is possible. Plenty of people do it. That's how normal businesses operate. But Julie's point, and hopefully you all understand this, is the first thing you must know is how much you actually have to earn, must earn, to cover the basic expenses in your life. Your utility bills, your cell phone bill, your this bill, your that bill. You've got to get a handle on exactly the amount of money that you have to earn every month. Now, this is not sexy nor exciting. And some of you, I know right now, are saying, oh, Tim, my husband does it, or my wife does it, or, I have blah, blah, blah. But you know what? Here's the other thing, Julie, and you know this as well as I do. Mm-hmm. A lot of you are saying, well, I think my monthly overhead is about. You're guessing. And you know what? I call all of you out right now because you're all writing down, because the question Jules is about to ask, or I'll ask you right now, is what do you think your monthly overhead is? I promise you that all of you are writing down approximately $5,000 or $7,000 or maybe $3,000. You're writing some number down just because you think that's how much money you have to earn. But the truth is you're guessing. You don't know. In order to do this assignment correctly, you're going to have to actually get into your credit card statements, your money market accounts, your checkbook. You're going to have to ask your spouse. You're going to have to ask your college-age kid that has one of your credit cards that's been taking 10 times as much money out of your checking account as you think, okay? You actually have to know your actual expenses.
Everything. Not just, the things that come to the top of your mind like your rent or your mortgage or your car payment, but everything, your groceries, your gas, everything.
Somebody asked if this is business and personal. We're dealing with those are two separate.
Let's walk them through that.
Good.
So this part of your exercise, and this is so critical. I don't know how much more we can impress this upon you that you figure this out. There are actually 5 parts of what you've got to earn per month. And this thought process is the difference between you being the superstar earner in your mind, whatever that means to you, that you are meeting or exceeding your goals. You're a superstar to us at Harris Real Estate University if you are meeting or exceeding your personal goals, but that means that you have them and you're clear on them. So there's actually 5 parts of your income, and when you think of those 5 parts, that is the first step to getting you to meet or exceed your goals. Now, yes, A, we're going to walk you through this. This is A, B, C, D, and E. That's all going to add up to what you are required to earn per month. And A is your personal overhead. That's what we're talking about: rent, mortgage, car payment, etc. All right, so Tim, personal overhead, that's putting food on the table. That's stuff that you have to do no matter what. Okay,
so again, you're going to have to take some time, and this is the perfect time of year. Any time of year is the perfect time of year to go through all your personal overhead, and you have to figure it out. You have to know what your actual expenses. I promise you, if you do this, if you take yourself through this process and you do it completely and thoroughly, you will be amazed on how much more calm, how much more in control.
Just knowing gives you some peace.
Exactly. A lot of you guys freak out, frankly, because you don't know how much money you actually have to earn every single month. And then you're surprised because maybe you had a fantastic year this year, the best year of your career. Well, did you pay your taxes? Okay.
Have you thought of that, or are you going to wait until April?
How much do you owe on your credit card? Well, why is it, and here's another question, did you save any money this year? And if you discover that, okay, you have a balance on your credit card, you haven't paid your taxes, and you didn't save any money, it's because you started the year not knowing exactly what your actual physical expenses were every single month. Once you get these things under control and you have an understanding of what you're actually spending, then everything else happens. And we're going to explain that to you hopefully on this call. So go ahead, Jules.
Right. So A is your personal overhead. And by the way, this is not a 5-minute exercise. Hopefully you've picked up on that. This should take you a while to be accurate on, and it is obviously worth the time. So A is personal overhead. You're going to fill in that blank once you get clear on that. B is your business overhead. This is your signs, your MLS dues, maybe an office fee to your broker, all of those things, any advertising, obviously your coaching, business overhead. So those are the things that you got to figure out. Some of those, you're going to say, well, maybe buying signs every year is not really a monthly overhead thing. If you have big expenses, big one-time things, divide them by 12, and that'll tell you what they would be per month.
Well, so now Julie is spreading. She has split. We went from talking about your personal overhead to your business overhead. And if you see the first page of your real estate treasure map, it's like a 30-page business plan, by the way. Actually, how many pages is it, Jules? I don't know.
I haven't counted in a while, but probably something like that.
Yeah, and we do use a larger font, and we have lots of explanations.
Don't be intimidated.
So it's not 30 pages of forms. You're not applying for a mortgage or a loan mod here. This is actually, basically your treasure map. Maybe the first time many of you have actually done a thorough, introspective exploration of really what it is that you want out of your business and your personal life.
Well, there's mindset things in there. There's goal setting. There's a schedule. It forces them to get it together, basically.
All right, so now what were we talking about here? The business personal overhead. We're going to move on to the next point, but again, it is important you start there, because if you don't, then you're essentially all of this is going to be for naught. Now, the next category, the next little thing you have to come up with is much easier to explain. It's called fun money. Now, what is fun money? Fun money is money that you spend going out to restaurants. Fun money is money you might spend on a vacation. Fun money is your little slush fund for shopping. I know Julie has a little slush fund for shopping that she thinks I don't know about.
You know about that?
Yeah, I do. All those Zappos boxes.
I know about yours too.
Yeah. So your fun money category, right? Whatever it is, your fun money. Come up with that number. Now, remember, if you're supporting and we're going to get to the specifics here, but if you're supporting, kids, if you're supporting a spouse, if you're supporting a grandparent or your parents, whatever it is, you got to be taking all these numbers into consideration. So the next point is taxes. So what we want you to do is we want you to add up A and B and C, which is your personal overhead, your business overhead, and your fund money. And as a general rule of thumb, you need to take whatever that number is, multiply it times 25%. That is going to be roughly what your taxes are. Now, we're not accountants, we're not attorneys, we're not anything like that. We're real estate coaches. You can probably in most cases pay less than 25%, just depending on your overall situation and how many.
We want them to be covered, though.
Right, exactly. So if you multiply how much money you actually need to earn personal, plus business, plus your fund money, and then add up whatever that number is, and then really essentially 25% of whatever that number is. So I'm just going to pull a number out of the air. Let's just say basically you discovered that in order to have cover your personal, your business, and all your fund, you need to earn $100,000 in the next 12 months. Okay, so we now know what our number is. Generally speaking, if you're going to spend $100,000 on personal, business, and fun, you're going to have to pay probably $25,000 in taxes. Now, again, your personal experience might vary. Maybe you have a state tax, maybe you have a federal tax, maybe you have city taxes. Maybe you don't have any of those things and you only have a federal tax like the lovely state of Nevada in which we reside. So it all just depends on how basically it sorts out. So know what your actual numbers are. If you don't know, ask your accountant. If you don't have an accountant, use that wonderful little tool on the internet called Google to find out what the average tax rates are in your community.
Right, but 25% should cover the vast majority of them. And the idea here is that you actually have a tax account where you are peeling off 25% of each check, socking it away. Then when you find out what you owe, you simply write the check, and you don't have real estate night sweats and freakouts over it. You're simply done paying your taxes because why? You budgeted for it.
Take it from somebody who, back when they first got started, didn't know the magic rules about saving 25% of every check. And, Julie and I sold 100 houses our first year. As a lot of you know, we're in National Associations of Realtors, Agents of the Year. We did a lot of traveling. We wrote a book, and we thought we were, hot pig slop. So we're from Ohio, so this is pretty, no one's ever done this before. We won all these RE/MAX awards, and it was a super big deal. And then the next year rolled around, the accountant said, guess what, Tim and Julie, we need, this many tens of thousands of dollars in federal taxes. And at the time we were living in Ohio, so it's state taxes as well. And we're like, huh?
The Scooby-Doo.
Huh? Yeah, duh?
Seriously?
Really?
How can that be?
So, that was a nice little wake-up surprise for Tim and Julie. Oh, I guess you're not so successful, are you?
Yeah, and some of you guys are experiencing that this year because you've just had your best year ever, so prepare. Start thinking about this now. You can handle it, but you do have to think about it.
Right. So the best way to do it, just to underline what Julie's saying, and one of the things you're going to learn that we want all of you to do is we want you to basically start from every dollar. I'm going to kind of take a sideline here, and then we're going to get back to the actual how to fill out the points. It's from every dollar that you earn, you're going to take a certain percent for savings first. Okay? So I'm going to say that again. You have to pay yourself first. You're a business owner. You produce a profit. So what you do, and this is a huge aha for so many of you, I'm going to really, I hope if nothing else from this call, you are really clear about this. You have to pay yourself first. If you earn $1 today, you peel off, starting with, depending on your overall situation, if you're paying off debt or if you're building up your emergency fund or whatever it is, maybe the number will vary. But generally speaking, you peel off 10% and you put that into a deposit-only account. In other words, account you cannot write checks or use a debit card against.
This is known as savings.
That's right. A new concept for many of you.
Not spendings.
Right.
Savings.
So you peel off at least 10%, and that goes into your personal profit account or your savings account. After that, you pay everything else. But you have to pay yourself first. So many business owners, not just realtors, so many business owners only pay themselves when they have profit left from the cash spurts.
Right. If I have anything left over, I'll save it.
Which means you never save anything because you never have anything left over.
Because you don't budget and know your numbers.
And because you're not forcing yourself to save. What's your profit? What's your product again? It's profit. If at the end of the year you have not saved money, if you have not paid off debt, you are not producing a profit. Your business is not being successful. And you are being a financial abuser. You are abusing money. Like an alcoholic abuses alcohol. Like an overweight person abuses food. If you're not saving money and you're accumulating debt, you are a money abuser.
Exactly. So you just talked about savings. That's category E. So most realtors say, quote, I want to save more. Well, what does that mean? 2 cents? 20,000? 200,000? Decide how much more. A good place to start for all of you, if you are not already there, is at least 90 days worth of personal and business savings. Well, how would you know how much that is? Because you did category A and B. So 90 days minimum of personal and business savings. If you already have that, work on having a year of reserves saved. So this creates categories A, B, C, D, and E. So we have personal overhead, business overhead, fund money, and by the way, if you don't fill that out, you won't have any fund money, taxes, and savings. And we really should have another category related, which is paying stuff off. That needs to be on there. I need to modify that. So paying things off. So if you most of you have legacy debt, we call it from the boom, you use too much credit cards or HELOC, whatever it may be. If you're saying, like I know Lance and Karen Kenmore are just on the edge of being debt-free. They're some of our graduate students. They're so close. They're maybe $10,000 away. Well, they're budgeting for that. They're going to have that taken care of by June 1st. Why? Because they're stocking away a little bit off of every check. So add paying stuff off here. Otherwise, you're going to keep on making those minimum payments and paying too much interest.
Well, not everybody's in that situation, so
right. So that's kind of an optional category.
Right. Most of you are probably carrying around about $10,000 of credit cards. Most of you probably have $25,000 to $30,000 on a second mortgage, and most of you are probably at or darn near or already upside down in your house. That is the normal situation for most people in the country.
Makes you normal.
Not just realtors, right. It makes you, and you probably have like an $8,000 balance on a car or something like that. That's normal.
And some of you are short selling your rental properties or whatever may be going on. But the point here is know your numbers.
That's right.
So the next part of this, after you have added up those categories, you're going to come up with your income required to earn per month. Your real income, not just what it takes to keep the lights on, which most of you are used to living on. You know approximately what it takes to not have anybody take your car or lights away, right? But here's A, B, C, D, and E is what you really need to earn per month to be saving, to stay ahead on your taxes, to have fun, to pay your personal overhead and your business overhead. You're going to come up with an actual number. And for most of you, that's between $5,000 and $10,000. Some of you, it's as much as $20,000 or $25,000, depending on your family size. Maybe your kids are in private schools, whatever the case may be. The point is, you're going to actually know what that number is per month. So you're going to write that down. That's the end of the first page of your math.
Okay, so let's stop here. What many of you are going to discover is one of two things. It's always one of two things.
Yeah.
You're spending a hell of a lot more money than you think, okay, which is good to know. That would be explaining why you're not getting ahead and producing enough profit, or enough savings, and that's explaining why maybe you're carrying more debt than you're comfortable carrying. Or the other thing you're going to discover, and I'd say this happens the majority of the time, is your actual fixed costs are less than you think.
Yeah, some of you are going to go, really?
Right. I mean,
I thought it was so much more.
We always discover one of the two ways. Now, the next thing is is that you want to take whatever that number is, right, Julie? We're on that point.
You got it.
And you want to subtract out any outside income. Now, outside income can be anything. Some of you are living off of pensions, or you have pension. Some of you are retired military. Some of you are
rental income.
Some of you have maybe your spouse is earning money. Okay, so whatever the combined family budget is, the household budget, whatever those costs are from the first categories. If you have any income, any source of money from any outside sources, it doesn't matter. Subtract that off. So you got to be realistic here. We're creating an actual business plan, and that leaves you with, Jules?
That leaves you with the difference. So you're going to take your income required from what we just did and subtract the outside income wherever that may be coming from. And it's okay if you don't have any outside income. A lot of you are the sole provider or the only provider of income for your family. So if that's the case, don't worry if you have to write 0 in there for no outside income. Many agents don't have any money coming in from somewhere else, so don't worry about that. But if you do, you've got to account for it. If that's the case, then you're going to subtract that, and it's going to tell you what you personally must earn per month, your part of the equation for your household. So now we've got another number for most of you.
Okay, so hopefully all of you, Julie and I, are intentionally taking a long time to go through relatively basic points, because hopefully you're following along in your notebook. Hopefully you're...
None of this is hard math.
Right. Well, the first thing I think for everybody is going to be hard is figuring out how much they're actually spending. Now, I'm going to just take a little step, allow some of you to catch up. Julie and I personally do a business plan like this almost every single month. Okay, we literally go through, we have on a Google spreadsheet, and we have all of our personal overhead, we have all of our business overhead. And believe me when I tell you our business overhead is like 100 times longer than our personal overhead, because Julie and I have no mortgages. We have no debt. Everything we have is paid off. We don't buy anything unless we're writing a check for it. And I mean that quite literally. We don't use credit at all. We haven't used credit for years. If we want to buy a new house, if we want to buy a rental property, we write a check for it. It all started, our ability to do that, having that kind of liquidity, all starting with what we're helping you understand, getting control of your personal overhead, your business overhead, and then paying off all your debts. When you are debt-free, when you have no mortgage on your primary home, when you have no car payments, no other debt, when you have that kind of freedom, because that really is the word here, the income that you bring in, after taxes, of course, can go to building investments and building wealth. That is what this economy and this market and this opportunity is all about. But you've got to start someplace, and that's what this business plan is about. So hopefully all of you now are getting caught up. You now know what you have to earn per month. Now, as Julie just said, take that amount, whatever you've come up with, and I want you to multiply it by 12, and that equals your yearly income for personal, business, savings, tax, and otherwise. And that amount of money is. So just put that money in there now.
And that's just good to know for your yearly, so you have a grasp on that. Most of what we've found is that when you concentrate monthly, and that's why we're pounding these monthly numbers so hard, if you're conscious monthly, that makes a huge difference. Our graduate students who are on track to do 50 or 100 deals, whatever it may be, they don't think about that big number. What they think about is how much they've got to do this month, this week, today, and this hour.
Okay, so to Julie's point, let's actually break that down, and I'm not going to do the math exactly because I'm walking around. Hopefully all of you guys have learned the importance of keeping your energy level high when you're working in your real estate business and you're prospecting and you're lead generating and you're following up the asset managers and you're doing all the things you should be doing. It's always a good idea to be standing, not sitting. I don't care what age you are or what health you are. It is a great idea to keep your energy levels high. And I am pacing now as I do every single day.
There is a calculator up there if you need it.
There is? Oh, there. Okay, I see. Yes, there is. Thank you, Julie. All right, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to take a number of $5,000 a month, and I do have a calculator. Hopefully it works. It does not seem to want to work. Okay, $5,000 a month. And we're going to assume that there's 4 weeks in a month. I know there's not exactly 4 weeks, so you analytical folks out there, give me a break. Exactly. So that means $1,250 a week. Now I'm going to divide that by 7, okay? That's going to give me $178.57. Now, here's what I'm going to tell you. This is funny, but all right. So, guys, if you discover you have to, for example, earn $5,000 a month to cover your personal overhead, you figure out what that number is. I want you to break it down and actually figure out how much money it is per day that you have to earn just to stay even.
How much? $166.
Okay, so there it is. So $170 a day just to stay even.
Just to run you. That means if you didn't earn that today, you're in the hole.
And that's at $5,000 a month. Now, if it's $10,000, obviously it's twice as much as that. That's just to break even based on real numbers.
That's because you breathe.
Exactly. You wake up in the morning, or whether you wake up or not, you're still spending $170 just to exist. Now, why is it important that you know that number? One of the things that we teach you at Harris Real Estate University is the importance of doing BPOs. For example, BPOs are an amazing gift from the real estate gods to all of you because you can do BPOs, get paid $45, sometimes depending on what kind of BPOs they are or more, per BPO, and cover all your personal overhead from doing BPOs, and at the same time, all the other added benefits of doing BPOs. You learn the market. You learn what's selling or not selling. You get your butt out the door, and you actually come in contact with buyers and sellers. But more importantly, and perhaps most importantly, you earn your way into getting REOs. And the biggest influx of REOs is coming over the next few years, starting in the next 12 months, no question about it. So do enough BPOs every single day to earn the amount of money that you absolutely positively have to earn just to stay even. If you earn from doing BPOs the amount of money, and I'm going to say it again, do BPOs every single day. Now, I have one of my favorite coaching clients of all time, Mark Chandro, who, we've coached for forever, since he was a new realtor, basically, who's now a top-producing realtor, one of the top-producing realtors in the country. I love coaching him. But one of the things he's got a staff. He's doing, he's got like 100 active listings and all kinds of stuff. He has to have the staff that, obviously to manage that business that size. One of the things we got all of the staff doing are enough BPOs every single day to cover their own personal overhead for his business. So if he's got somebody he's paying $40,000 a year to, one of that staff member's key roles every single day is turn out enough BPOs that they're at least covering their own expense every single day. You have to do the same thing. Hopefully everyone understands the importance of that. Guys, that way, whether you sold a house or not that particular day, whether the buyer signed the contract or not, or the short sale closed or not, you stayed at least even. You were able to cover your personal business overhead. You did not, go in the red.
Well, look at it this way, Tim. Most salespeople, if you were selling cars or something like that, you would have kind of a minimum, base income, right? Most of your money would be made off of commissions, but you would have something that you probably could kind of live on. Well, in real estate, we don't really have that except for, as we like to say, the gift from the real estate gods, BPO cash flow. So we do have a BPO cash flow class, by the way, that teaches you all of that. So call the office if you're interested in that. But this is why we teach you at least cover that $170 a day that it costs to run you, because that will give you peace of mind as well. If you can go to bed every night going, hey, you know what, at least I've covered my existence. I know I'm going to sell a house tomorrow, so I'm covered. I'm handling what I know I need to make. But no matter what else happens, I've got that daily cash flow covering me. That gives you peace of mind.
And hopefully to everyone listening to this call now and listening to this call in the future, you guys get the importance of making it so that you have enough money coming in. Literally, you're going to get checks in the mail, and those checks will at least cover your personal overhead.
All good.
You will not be one of these agents that are going slowly broke. You will not have to run up your credit cards or burn through your HELOC or borrow money from your mom, because you'll be able to earn the amount of money you have to earn every single day just to cover your personal overhead. Real estate commissions go to paying off debt, accumulating wealth.
Exactly. So let's get back to our bigger number, which is our personal overhead, our taxes, our fund money, our business overhead, savings, and payoffs. We've got that magic monthly number that we've figured out. The next part, and remember, we applied your spouse's income if we have to figure that in. You know what your personal contribution has to be based on your goals. So if you got a goal to take a trip to Europe and it's going to cost you $15,000, well, you've budgeted that into the fun part of that monthly overhead that you've got to cover, right? So let's say that you came up with $7,500 once we factor in not just paying your utilities, but actually having a life. Instead of the $3,000 that you thought you had to earn that you've been scraping by every month, you figured out to actually have the life that you desire, it's going to cost you $7,500 to stay up on your taxes, to have fun, to have some money in the bank, to have some reserves, not to mention pay your personal and business overhead. So let's just say, for example, you're at $7,500 when all is said and done. The next part is to figure out what your average net commission to you is. So some of you guys get tangled up in net and gross. Net is simply what you actually take home in your commission check, not what the HUD says goes to your broker, but what you actually end up with. And some of you have some pretty creative commission splits. There's this much off the top, and then if the planets were in alignment, then it's this much, and whatever the case may be.
But Julie, let's just be honest. 90% of them have no clue what their average commission check to them is. I know
That's
you guys don't know.
That's another big black hole.
Don't act like you know. Don't stand there and throw down some arbitrary number.
Don't say what you'd like it to be if you were selling million-plus homes.
Exactly, which is the other thing realtors do. They have creative avoidance issues. We're being business people here, guys, remember? We're taking advantage of the opportunity that's in front of us. In order to do that, we have to think clearly. So you are going to go to your broker or your office manager, or maybe you're going to go, to your wife, whoever manages your business's books, and you're actually going to figure out what your net commission is per sale. If you've only had 3 transactions this year, that won't be difficult for you to do.
Right.
So, but who cares what the broker takes in? Broker has their expense. God bless brokers out there for keeping the lights on. Believe me, they don't have an easy road to go at all. They have 100 times more challenges than you guys do. So you should, thank your broker, buy them a nice birthday present when their birthday rolls around. But know what your net commission is. Not how much money the transaction actually took in, but how much your average check is to you. That's incredibly important that you know that number. Otherwise, all of this is for naught.
Exactly. So then you're going to end up with the real number to you. Now, there are a few people on this call, Tim, who are brand new to real estate or getting back in, whatever, and they don't have anything to work with. So if that's you, you're going to just use your average sale price in your community in the area that you wish to work. And if that average sale price is $170,000, then you'll figure out what the net to you would be. You've got to use something here. That's not a lot of you, but that's what you would do if you don't have anything to work with. So let's say that our $7,500 per month agent figures out their net commission is $2,500. We do $7,500 per month required divided by the average check of $2,500. That tells you that agent has to be doing 3 transactions per month in order to meet or exceed their personal goals, or 36 transactions per year. Now, I've got to tell you, Tim, you and I do this a lot with especially new graduate students, and they'll come to the call, we'll talk to them about what their goals are, and their initial response will be, I got to do 50 deals this year.
Why? That's what we ask. Well, because last year I did 40 deals, and I have to do 50.
Or because Bob next to me did it, and I'm better than him.
Or because my broker or sales manager said I have to do 50 deals. In other words, we're going back to the fact that you have no clue.
And then we figure out, in order for you to actually have a life, do everything that you've got to do, it's only 36.
Right.
That's exciting.
And that is the normal call, by the way.
Yeah. It's not the other way, which you guys mostly think, that when you do this, you're going to come up with, 177 deals you got to do every hour, right?
Or the other one is we get from some of these, people that I have to sell 100 homes. Okay, well,
why?
And you cut through it, right? 9 times out of 10, they sure as heck don't have to sell 100 homes to have a fantastic year, to do all the things they hope to do, to travel all the places, to pay off the debt and the rest of it. They just want to sell 100 homes for their egos because they want to brag about having done it, and you know what? That's perfectly fine.
As long as you know why you're doing it and you're clear with that.
And most importantly, at the end of the year, having done it, you didn't spend all of your money for leads. You didn't spend all your money on pay-per-click ads. You didn't spend all your money on this silver bullet or that silver bullet, so you have no profit.
Yeah, doing 100 deals and being broke is not really that fun.
Right, and here's a little secret for you.
Nothing.
Here's a little secret that the industry never talks about. Most of the agents that are doing, huge amounts of transactions have a very low profit margin, usually less than, it's like 18%. That's how much money they make out of their businesses before paying their personal taxes. Now, a lot of those guys have woken up to the fact that business model, if it ever worked in the first place, sure as heck doesn't work now, and that's the reason that a lot of the top-producing agents in the country, Century 21, RE/MAX, Keller Williams, Real Living, you name it, Coldwell Banker, they're Harris Real Estate University students, because, guys, we focus on something that's new, at least to the industry from the agent's perspective, called profit, actually building wealth. for you so that you can retire, so you can have the life of your dreams. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with getting back to thinking big. There's nothing wrong. Remember when you were, what was it, 20 years ago for some of you? Maybe when you were children, so maybe even longer, and you promised yourself that you were going to go on a safari to Africa. Maybe some of you have always dreamed about being able to walk into the Porsche dealership or whatever it is and writing check for. Why have you gotten away from those goals and the dreams? Just because the economy sucks?
Too hard.
It's too hard, or more likely, just because you're surrounded by other people who are also are lazy and have given up on basically what they could accomplish with their lives.
Pathetic.
Yes,
okay.
Exactly.
So here's the thing, guys. Tim and I have this ongoing joke sort of between us that we are not running Tim and Julie's halfway house for wayward agents here.
Well, I think in a lot of cases we are, but we don't want to.
We are raising superstars, but you guys have to participate.
That's right. And this is also not, this is the other joke, this is also not adult daycare.
Right.
Okay? The fact
Your
is...
brokers can do that. We're not doing it.
Well, the brokers don't do it.
That's true.
Okay, so this is not adult daycare. You guys have got to stop being lazy. You've got to step up to your potential. If you don't have enough fire and fury in your own bellies to do it for yourselves, if you've lost touch with what really you wanted out of this life, if that's not enough motivator for you, or for some reason you're conflicted with wanting material possession, some of you have gotten so messed up in your heads. I have hopefully a little eye-opener for you. Okay? This is for my more, let's just be honest, liberal, spiritually minded friends. Now, Julie and I are more libertarian than anything else, so if any of you think I'm trying to go political on you, I'm not. So those of you who have a problem with wanting stuff, get over it. We are definitely spiritual beings, but we're in a material world. You need stuff.
Stuff makes the world go around.
That's right. You need shoes on your feet. You need clothes on your back.
The economy? Want stuff again. I think we all need to.
You need stuff. You need stuff to protect you, to protect your family, to put food in your belly, to store your food. You need a car. That is stuff. Okay, you need stuff. And you know what? Why not have it be really nice stuff?
It's more fun.
It is. So why not have it be really, if you're going to travel, why not have it be first class? Why not? Listen, I promise you, first class is better. Okay,
it really is.
It just is. It is worth it. So be okay with wanting stuff. It motivates you. If you're conflicted about stuff motivating you, again, and I know some of you are in this place, and it's okay. It's normal. I don't think it's normal, to be honest with you, but, maybe you've been convinced by your peer group or how you were raised that wanting stuff is somehow beneath you, that somehow you're supposed to focus all your energies on, philanthropy or whatever else. Okay, that's fine, but here's the thing that might motivate you. When you become successful, you motivate other people. This, frankly, is what motivates me mostly. When you become successful and you become a leader for other people, what happens is you act as a beacon. Right now, our world, not just our economy, not just our industry, is stuck in the thickest cloud patch or fog patch you can possibly imagine. So most people out there in every, imaginable circumstance are in a little dingy boat, and they're out in the middle of the ocean. They can hear the waves, but they can't see where they're going, and they want desperately to reach the shore. Those are your family members. Those are your children. That might be your spouse. Those are the other realtors in your office. Those
Certainly
are the people
your sellers.
Those are the people in your church, your synagogue, your mosque, or whatever else. Your responsibility, okay, if you really want to make a profound contribution, if it's not enough just to basically make it so that you can go out and be more spendy, your contribution is to be the light, be the lighthouse, be the brightest light on the horizon that they can go to. That's what happens when you're successful. When you become successful, honestly, ethically, when you're helping people, which all of you do by helping folks avoid foreclosures through short sales, or if you're selling REOs even, you're helping the economy because you're clearing out some of the stagnant, housing stock, and you're turning the industry and turning the economy around. When you're making that level of contribution and you're building your own personal wealth, you become a leader of others by accident.
By example.
And you give other people permission to wake up. You give other people permission to start living again. You give other people permission to actually start, frankly, dreaming again. And that's what you have to start with yourself. So if it's not enough for you to say, well, Tim, I don't want a new car. I mean, good Lord, my car's paid off, and, I realize I'm wearing the same clothes I've worn since the 1980s, and you know what? Guess what? They're in fashion again, so I'm glad I didn't throw them out. Okay? If that's where your mindset is, I know some of you are like that. I'm sort of making fun of you, but let's have some fun here. Okay, then think of it from a different perspective. Become successful so that you can help others. Become successful so you can lead others. Become successful so that your family members, who are all probably in the same financial boat as you, can say, you know what? If Julie can do it, let's be honest, Julie's not the sharpest tool in the toolbox. If Julie can do it, I can do it. We've seen this in our own families, okay? We've seen this in our own communities, amongst our friends. They watch. They pay attention, and then what happens is they start doing better for themselves, and they start living fuller lives. Be okay with that.
Be the example.
That's right.
So when you do all of this math that we've been putting you through, the next part is where we get really serious about moving you forward. You need to write down, I am currently averaging blank deals per month. So to use our $75 a person example, where we divided their average net commission of $2,500 and figured out they've got to do 3 transactions per month to meet or exceed their own self-prescribed goals. Their next thing is they're going to write down, I am currently averaging blank deals per month. So maybe they're averaging 1 deal per month or 2 deals per month. Then you write, this does or does not cover my goals. I am or am not satisfied continuing to earn at this level. So you have choices along the way. This is curtailed by you. These are your goals. Nobody's prescribing this to you. But here's the secret. If you keep doing what you've been doing, you'll keep producing at the level you've been producing. Or, worse, you'll slide backwards as other agents pass you by who have upgraded their skills, education, mindset, and goal setting. Don't let that happen to you. So you're writing down your goal versus your reality.
Okay, Julie, let's wrap it right here. So here, guys, here's the thing. We obviously didn't get through all of our notes. We never do. So here's what you do next. Here's your homework assignment. We've made this really easy for you. Go to realestatetreasuremap.com and buy the business plan. That's it. Complete it. Now, the business plan, you've already done basically, I'd say, half of the front page. The rest of the business plan is going to cover all the other types of, frankly, important aspects of your life. It's going to talk about goal setting. It's going to talk about the 5 categories of life. It's going to talk about all the other things that you can be doing now, right now, this time of year. And it does not matter if it's spring, summer, fall, whatever, to really make it so your next 12 months and, frankly, the rest of your life is profoundly different. You can do it. Guys, look, I know that many of you are surrounded by other people that are in the same pod as you. And there's this old story. I don't know who came up with this. Probably one of you do on the webinar, so let me know who actually originally wrote this because it's so good. It's an old fisherman story. So the story goes that there's a fisherman who is a crab fisherman. He goes and catches a bunch of crabs, and, he's taking a fisherman apprentice with him one day. And the fisherman apprentice, he doesn't know, jack about, fishing, thus he's an apprentice. So they catch a crab, and the apprentice puts the crab in one bucket. And the fisherman said, you can't just put one crab in a bucket because that crab will get out, literally crawl on the deck of the boat and jump back in the ocean. And the apprentice didn't believe him, and so he actually tested it, and sure enough, threw a crab in there. That crab said, yeah, whatever, dude, I'm out of here. Jumped out of the bucket. It jumped, crawled his way, crabbed his way, whatever you call crabs walking, across the surface of the boat, jumped back in the ocean. That was it. The apprentice fisherman, he looks at the fisherman, his boss basically, and he says, what the heck? Why does that work? And the fisherman said, now watch, I'm going to show you something. And then all of a sudden, the fisherman took another crab, put him in that same bucket, and then 2 other crabs in that same bucket. So then what happened was, and the head fisherman said to the apprentice, watch what happens in the bucket. Sure enough, just as before, each of the crabs tries to get out. But what happens is the other crabs pull him back in. Now, I'm going to say that again because it's so profound. Julie and I learned this personally when we were in our early 20s. We never have forgotten it. We've been very observant of it, and it's been so true. What happens is that when you put one crab in a bucket, the crab will get the heck out of there. They'll escape. When you put more than one crab in a bucket, all the other crabs will pull each other in so that no one ever gets out of that bucket. Okay? Some of you guys are in a bucket with a bunch of other crabs that don't want you to get out of that situation. That is the reality. That is, unfortunately or fortunately, the reality of the situation you find yourselves in. I'm just giving it to you straight, guys. I'm not going to BS you and tell you it's all sunshine and roses. When you set goals, everyone surrounds you and supports you, and it doesn't work that way.
Oh, that's great. You're setting goals. You're not going to hear that.
No, it doesn't. You're
going
to hear just the opposite, to be honest with you. Especially, don't you think you should? Oh, this is a depression.
What are you thinking? How can you do that?
Oh, it's so bad. Why do you blah, 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 blah? Because they're all crabs in the same bucket. And unfortunately, oftentimes, the crabs that are the most vocal, that are going to pull you back in the bucket most violently, are the people that are in your family, your friends. Okay, your closest peer group are most often the ones that are going to give you the least amount of support for you to actually elevate yourself and change your situation. That is normal, and what you have to understand is that you still have to get the hell out of that bucket. And then when you do, the other people in your group, the other people that you care about, they're going to see that you did it, and they're going to eventually follow. But if you think you're going to start this new phase in your lives, hopefully this call will jettison many of you into the next phase in your lives, and you can have incredible, frankly, you can have the lives of your dreams. Don't believe these people that tell you that there's no opportunity in our economy right now. Don't believe these people that tell you the 1% have gobbled all the wealth and pushed all the middle-class people down into poverty. Don't believe that crap. It is a lie. It is a political manipulation. They're trying to get you to be dependent on somebody else covering your butt. They're trying to get you to be dependent on the government. That is a lie.
Some of you guys tried that.
Yeah, it's a lie. Julie and I are living, breathing examples of the bootstraps. Okay, many of you are the same way. Okay, do not give up on whatever you set for yourself, but understand you're going to be constantly surrounded by, especially in this type of economy, in this type of political environment, by crabs that are trying to keep you in the bucket. You have to be clear on that. So what you need to do is attach yourself to other people that have escaped the bucket. You need to read books that are going to inspire you. All this is covered in the Real Estate Treasure Map, which you guys all must buy. It's, I think, what is it, Julie? $27 or $47?
I think it's $47.
Might even be $17. I don't really remember.
To make you hundreds of thousands or whatever you desire. It's a pretty cheap investment, really.
Heck yeah. So you need to surround yourself with people that have escaped the bucket. You need to surround yourself with positive thinkers, positive thoughts.
Look at it this way. If you're the only car in your parking lot at your office this time of year, that's you being the only crab in the bucket. That's great. There's nobody to pull you down. It's all about you.
No dating.
I'm not.
Yeah.
So that's okay. And, if we're being honest, it doesn't really matter what month. For some of their offices, they may be the only ones. That's okay. Be your own leader. You are surrounded by people via the superstar interviews, the daily motivational messages, your colleagues in our classes here at Harris Real Estate University. Read the blog. Listen, if you're feeling isolated because you're the only one that has your goals together right now, turn on the superstar interview replays. You'll be surrounded by like-minded people.
Stay connected to Harris Real Estate University, guys. I promise you that we're going to help you there. We're going to be walking by your side. A lot of you guys, you become our friends. You become like our extended family. That's how we feel about you, okay? You can feel the same way about us. We're not just here to sell you into a coaching program. We're here to walk you the path from where you are to where you want to be. A lot of you are coming to us, and you're already extremely successful. You're selling hundreds of houses per year, but you're finally ready to embrace what this market truly has to offer. Obviously we have a great place for you. Some of you are brand new realtors. Lots of people getting into the industry because they can't find jobs. This is the perfect environment for you, the perfect place for you. It doesn't matter where you are. Please take the time to do your complete business plan. You have to. You're not going to get into your car today and drive from, point A to point you've never been before, drive across the country, across the state, doesn't matter, without at least having a map. If you have a car that doesn't have navigation, maybe one of the goals should be to upgrade your car so you can have a car with navigation. So you're not going to, go someplace, pull out of your driveway with at least not having a clear understanding of where you're going. That's what a business plan is. Do not live another day in your real estate lives without at least having a clear understanding of why. Do a business plan. Do a complete personal plan. That's what the Real Estate Treasure Map is. So go ahead, guys. Pick that up. Click the button on the webinar, or you can just go to realestatetreasuremap.com. So, Julie, we ought to wrap it. We're obviously over our allotted 60 minutes.
You got it. So homework, realestatetreasuremap.com. Get it done. It is supposed to take you a little while. It is supposed to take you a little bit of research, a little bit of thought, It's okay if you do, an hour worth of that a day for the next 7 days. You're going to end up with a fantastic dollar productive plan for yourself.
Go ahead and put in your comments in the webinar, guys. Some of you already have. I just clicked on the questions again. I haven't done that in a while. So go ahead and put in your questions, guys. What did you get out of this call? I'm going to read some of the comments, Jules.
Perfect.
Okay, so what did you get out of this call? What did you learn? Go ahead and put your questions in now. If you want to put something terse in, if you all of a sudden we can take it. We'll read positive comments and negative comments. We'll make fun of you, of course, if you put negative comments in, but we're allowed to. All right, so I'm going to read something from someone I've known for a long time, Javier Robles. And Javier, I think you and I have known each other for years, like a decade. Okay, I love when you say, can I tell you a secret? Here's a secret. Your secret, to call it as a secret, is making you, and you will make lots of money and profit. I know you already know it, but I thought I'll mention it. Great job to you and Julie. So thank you, Javier. Kara Wallace from Corona says, you guys rock. I appreciate your honesty. I personally need the reminder. You're welcome, Kara. But Kara, here's a little something I know from having been in this space teaching realtors for a long time. A lot of people, go ahead and put your comments in, guys. A lot of realtors, they'll get motivated. They'll get jazzed. You right now are like on a caffeine high.
Yeah.
But what are you going to do with it, Kara? Are you just going to basically say, okay, well, I feel, I listen to Tim and Julie, okay, now what?
Don't just hang up and say, God, that was a great call.
Do
something about it.
Now I'm going to go back to Farmville, okay? No, okay? You guys have to take this and put it into action. Your true standing long motivation, it doesn't come from basically just listening to one, event that motivates you. It comes from the actions that you take. If this event, if this call, if this was something that really kind of put some fuel in your tank and it's going to help to take you to the next level or at least help you get started, pulling out of the gates, well, I'm glad. I'm thrilled, and I really, really thank all of you for listening and participating. But it's not enough. You have to take action. You actually have to do something with this information. Stop looking to me and Julie, or anybody else for that matter, to motivate you. Stop looking to me and Julie to be the thing that gets you off your butts. You got to do it yourself. And the way you do that, I promise you, is just taking action. What the hell does that mean? Start with your business plan. Part of your business plan, by the way, guys, is creating an actual plan of what your schedule is going to look like every single day. It's going to start creating part of the business plan is a minimum standards form that you're going to create for yourself, the daily minimum standards that you have to do every single day in order to generate the income that you need to live daily, weekly, monthly, and to accomplish all your financial goals.
And that schedule is based on what their goals actually are. That's not just like a generic do this type of schedule. That's not something that, we just downloaded off of Google. I want a schedule. Here you go.
Okay, Julie,
it's self-created based on your goals.
Tons of comments pouring in, guys. Go ahead and put your comments in. I really appreciate it. Julie, you can read one. Go ahead if you're there.
Updating. Okay, Jackie in Atlanta. I love this call. I am motivated, taking action, and making great progress thanks to you guys. Thank you, Jackie, for paying attention and taking action.
Our friend Keith Cox in San Diego, and Keith, Julie, and I are going to be in San Diego. Oh, I didn't read it yet. Okay, good. Yeah, I might want to read it before I read it. When you have I see why Julie's laughing. But I'm going to read it anyway, Keith. I'm going to embarrass you. Keith Cox, when you have crabs, it's no fun. I want to soar out of the pail.
I like it. You'll
Hopefully
do it, Keith.
He didn't mean quite literally, but okay.
You never know with these California people.
Exactly. All right, Evie, go ahead, Julie.
Okay, Evie, over in Victorville, how very, very important it is to put a plan together to be successful. Thanks, you're great. This is my definite next step. Excellent.
Good. Evelyn, Julie, if you don't mind.
Evelyn is in Oswego, Illinois. Thank you for giving me the extra push to get this off my, quote, to-do list. Appreciate you having a product that can guide me through the process. Great call.
You're welcome. So, again, it's realestatetreasuremap.com, or just click on that link. You're going to watch a little sort of cheesy video. I was having fun with it. You're going to hear the Raiders of the Lost Ark music in the background. But go ahead and buy the treasure map, guys.
It's called the treasure map for a reason. It is your personal treasure that you're building a plan to.
All right, so Julie, you and I know I could tell by listening to you and I could go on for hours and hours, but we can't because we got to get these guys to fill out their business plan.
They got to get to work.
That's right. All right, perfect. So listen, thanks to all of you for joining us for today's Harris Real Estate University Superstar interview. Please use this information as your motivation to actually complete your business plan. Your business plan is just like if you were to go on a long trip. You need to know where you are. You need to know where you're going to go. And frankly, your business plan is not only going to give you the direction, it's going to give you the motivation every single day. Your goal should be not only to complete the business plan in the next 48 hours completely with knowing all your numbers, but your goal then has to be to post it everywhere so you can see it at all times. Don't just put it in your desk or save it on your desktop. Actually post it so you can see it and use it as your long-term motivation. Guys, listen, all of you have always thought and believed that you have not been more sick, and I don't even care if you're selling 500 houses a year. In the back of your mind, you always told yourself and said to yourself, well, if I'd been in the right place at the right time, I would have, done this, had that experience. You've read about successfully historic people. Maybe you know some people that are extremely successful, or you hear about them on TV or the news, and you thought to yourself, well, they had some opportunities I didn't have. Guess what, guys? Your opportunity is now. More than ever, your opportunity to make, and I'm going to say it, do not be conflicted about it, make a ton of money through helping people is right now. Do something with it. Don't be conflicted with it. Stop being just another crab in a bucket. Pull yourself out and live the life of your dreams. Why not? Why not? Be a beacon to other people. Be a motivator to other people, but it starts with obviously having a business plan. So on behalf of Julie, myself, and all the faculty and staff here at Harris Real Estate University, Martha, Keith, all the rest of you, thank you for thanking us. You guys have a fantastic week. Really realize that your next step is to download your business plan. Go to realestatetreasuremap.com. If you're listening to this call now live or on replay, click the button on the webinar and go and grab your business plan. If you need us for anything, if you have any questions, of course, you can call 866-422-9497, or you can actually email Julie or myself directly. And Julie is Julie at HarrisRealEstateUniversity.com, and I am Tim at HarrisRealEstateUniversity.com. Thank you for joining us for today's Harris Real Estate University Superstar interview. Thank you.